Pokemon designs, weird little goobers are definitely my favorite, and convergent evolution forms, or regional fakes, however you want to call them, fill this niche perfectly. So in this video, I will go through every generation and choose one line to create into these weird little guys, which will inhabit my Benelux-inspired Pokemon region, but with a twist, which I will explain later. A bug-type Pokemon that evolves convergently to resemble a non-bug-type Pokemon has been on my mind ever since the reveal of Wiglet, so I chose Sandshrew and Sandslash for Generation 1. Though they already have regional forms, I just couldn't resist the chance to make a mole cricket-inspired Pokemon. These little guys are found all over Europe and of course in the Benelux area, digging through the ground, acting as, well, moles. And it's one of the coolest examples of convergent evolution in real life. Now, I actually designed these Pokemon a few months ago. I even had a collab about it too, but I felt they could use a quick redesign and a touch-up. Sandshrew is a cute little guy, so I wanted to make sure that it was still cute and not too typically buggy yet. Give it some action going on too with this new pose, but keep the silhouette very similar to Sandshrew. So if anyone catch a glimpse of it, they would just assume it's a small Sandshrew and nothing else. Its arms and feet are now little claws, along with it having a third smaller pair of claws that are still developing. And its face was pretty much stolen right off of Snom. I mean, Snom's just too cute. Its tail resembles the end of mole cricket tails, and also just looked buggy to me. Its ears in the silhouette are actually its antenna. Since bugs don't really have ears, I felt like antenna were the best alternative. I messed around a bit with colors, but it wasn't too complicated. I just really like those flashes of green to make it stand out a bit. It may be a small Pokemon, but just be careful, okay? It can be just as dangerous as Sandshrew. This is Sandshrew, the cricket Pokemon. These small bug Pokemon have evolved to resemble and act just like Sandshrew to fight back against their predation. Their food source is the same as Sandshrew. Because the Sandslash line is known to eat bugs, I wanted to see what would happen if some of those Pokemon evolved to stop being hunted. So whilst these Pokemon are smaller, they're a lot more social and often hunt together in packs. It has the same stat amount as Sandshrew, as do all of these Pokemon, but they're distributed a bit differently, as Sandshrew has a smaller emphasis on its speed more, and less on its defenses, so it's a bit of a glass cannon. With Sandshrew not being too different from the original idea, and also Sandshrew, I really wanted the next one to go way beyond. I'm not the best with spiky and intimidating Pokemon, as my personal bias for cute and weird Pokemon takes over a lot, so I really wanted to try my hand at this time, giving it a much more active pose like it's sneaking around, ready to strike. The arms stayed the same, but the legs and extra arms I wanted different, more reptilian-like, as I really wanted to make this Pokemon a bug and dragon type. Bright colors were a must, so the yellow and blue were added. I really liked how the blue came out, though making sure it wasn't too saturated was a bit of a challenge. I also added an extra pair of eyes, just like the original, but I made it more apparent with this one. And the tail is a bit spikier too. The mouth was also a bit cute at first, but now it's a lot more menacing. It's definitely got some spiky, roly-poly action going on now, so it's not fully a mole cricket, but then again, Sandslash isn't just based on one animal either. This is Sandganache, the cricket Pokemon. With their developed extra set of limbs, these Pokemon can dig and hunt extremely well. As a group, they can even take down a Flygon. Their dragon typing is also because they are able to take down a Flygon, but I also just wanted a bug and dragon type, so there you go. Also, those extra eyes are used exclusively for detecting quick movement, which they can very quick. Though I'm really happy with how it turned out, I may have overdone the design a bit. It's low-key giving Gen 5, but that's okay. I still like it. Its attack and speed are greater than Sandslash, but its defenses and HP are abysmal. And it also knows some Dragon-type moves as well. So for Generation 2, I chose HootHoot, because I always thought it had an interesting clock motif going on that Noctowl just never seemed to do anything with. I also went with a Cuckoo as an inspiration for this convergent Pokemon. It just seemed like a natural and quick fit. These birds are also found all over, so in the Benelux as well. And this Pokemon will be found in the nests of Noctowl, be slightly bigger, cry, and complain a lot. My original design didn't have too much emotion, but this one's pose already looked much more sad, with it literally whimpering and leaving its wings out. Literally begging for food, just like how baby birds in real life are often depicted. The clock-like mask, eye thingy, whatever you want to call it, was more ice-like now, with icicle patterns on each end, and instead of cogs underneath its eyes, having one singular crystal. which resembles a tear. I really wanted the colors to show off its typing, which is Ice and Ghost. I really hope that's clear, but let me know. To make it even more sad, I also gave its pupil a sort of watery look to them, similar to Wishy-Washy. This is HootHoot, the cuckoo Pokemon. Noctowl in cold environments are sometimes greeted by an extra HootHoot in their nests, unknowingly to them. This is a HootHoot, a Pokemon that has evolved to resemble HootHoot. Some Noctowl might be smart enough to know one of these things is not like the other, but most fall easily to this teary-eyed hungry chick. What HootHoot does most of the day is just crying for food and eating. Unlike HootHoot, it is actually adapted to the environment, so it is the one that's most likely to survive. Oh, and its main stat is HP. So, I gotta reveal something real quickly. These are actually not convergent forms. I goofed y'all, I gotcha. Instead, these are what I like to call mimic Pokemon, or mimic evolution forms, or mimic forms. I'm still working on the term. But I decided to go for mimicry because I wanted my region to have a theme going on of learning from each other, whether it's cultures, opinions, or lifestyles, because only by learning to cooperate with each other and understand each other fully do we grow, or rather evolve. And this is not limited to these Pokemon, by the way. They're not just convergent fakes, but like different. I have ideas for even starter Pokemon, so think something like Mega Evolution. I'll reveal more in a video later. This next design might count as a unique evolution. I mean, it is in a sense, it's based on Noctowl, but it's more so based on the Beta Noctowl instead, as that one just sort of looks like a clock to me, and what is a cuckoo-based Pokemon without a clock? So let's just make some sort of grandfather clock-looking bird. Just one big oval and a foot sticking out. Can anyone see it? That just looks like a clock to me. Maybe I'm crazy, but this idea was just screaming to me. So I made its beak resemble one of those timer hands you'd find on a clock, and its belly pattern is a pendulum. I wanted to make this Pokemon sleepy, but also protective. As you can see with the little HootHoot-like spirits around its body. These are actually its siblings that have assimilated with it, so this Pokemon acts like a safety birdhouse to them. This icy roof, however, this destroyed my poor little brain, okay? So I don't like practicing perspective all that much. I mean, who does, really? Because it's boring. But I have to now, and I am now. I'm doing it right now. But I had to spend like so many hours doing this, and eventually after like 3 hours of me messaging everyone, yeah, I fixed it, I think. So thank you for all the people who helped me out. I could not have done this on my own. But yeah, I really like this design a lot more than my original take, as that one felt too clouded and over-designed and not at all like a middle stage evolution. So this is Noctowl, the cuckoo Pokemon. As HootHoot evolve into Noctowl, their siblings become spirits and become intertwined with their big sibling upon evolution, keeping it company in exchange for protection. So this seems like a pretty grim idea to have the HootHoot die, but Game Freak has done more messed up things, so whatever. At first my idea was just to have their spirits float around to give it strength, as to, you know, fit with a cuckoo's vibe. So then I thought, okay, maybe to help those Noctowl survive, HootHoot eggs are placed there, so that the HootHoot have a strong, bigger sibling who will make sure that everyone survives. In a different form, of course, but they do help each other out. It's just cuter, you know, it's more Pokemon. They're all helping each other out. And otherwise, these poor HootHoot were doomed anyway. So not all stats are focused on HP and special defense primarily. This design has been sitting on the back burner for, I think, like at least since June, maybe even May. Okay, so I had this big, weird, goofy idea that I never managed to fully design it the way I wanted it to. Things kept going wrong, it kept looking weird, and I just kind of gave up. I did like the concept sketches I had though, so I just continued from there. With a bit of a more action-y pose though, with its placing a Pokemon egg into a Noctowl's nest. Due to perspective, it was a bit tricky, but nowhere near as tricky as Noctowl. I really wanted to make sure to give it a clock/birdhouse design, but not go too overboard with it. Like with the concepts, it still had to look somewhat natural, not like it's just a big clock, you know, like the birdhouse is made out of ice that it makes to protect its siblings, you know, it has to make sense. And those siblings, well, they're really comfy in that house, and all of them have pretty much fused with the Noctowl at this point, becoming one. With one of them peeking out at the top, and the main part of its body shooting out, like a cuckoo clock cuckoo does. Its head resembled HootHoot, but also HootHoot. But also Noctowl with its beak, I really like that beak. And if you can tell, its head is angled to 3 o'clock, which is commonly associated with the witching hour, ghost hour, just anytime something creepy is going on at night, it's 3 o'clock. I also wanted to incorporate a father time, you know, a grandfather clock theme into this design. So I gave it sort of a beard and a mustache with like icicles and stuff, which felt natural. Like, yeah, it's an ice Pokemon. It's going to grow something like that. I think I did it okay, but let me know in the comment section, of course. It's still got 1 foot showing in the design. Maybe there's more in there. Probably is. But the 1 foot is just so iconic of HootHoot's design. I just wanted to copy that. At first, I wanted a more menacing design, but that didn't really fit with the lore, so I went with it carrying an egg around, searching for Noctowl nests. And hopefully in the silhouette, it looks like it's, you know, the egg looks like a pendulum. That was my intent, at least. I hope that looks good. The wings are pretty simple. They just look like a bit of clock hands, with the crystals resembling the ends. I also changed the 12 crystals from the original design to 4, as to not clutter. The colors took a while, originally wanting purple for the ghostly energy, and I really wanted to make sure that the values were all differently enough so that they wouldn't clash. And finally, after months of designing this Pokemon, here it is, Cluckaboo, the Clockbird Pokemon. These nocturnal Pokemon are found deep in the night, freezing prey Pokemon and storing them away for later consumption. They place their eggs in Noctowl nests to help them survive the cold. I'm so happy with this design. It feels a bit creepy, but also friendly enough to where it kind of looks cute. In 3D, I can definitely imagine it just floating there with the little head peeking out, but during an attack, the big head, like, strikes out. And, like, the timer, like, moves until it goes to 3 again, and it would definitely have a signature move called Countdown, which would act as curse, but a little bit differently. So every turn, 1/3 of your HP gets taken down. You can switch to another Pokemon, but the same will happen to it as well. So the only way to really stop this is to take down the Pokemon, or to wait until the move is over. Its stats are very slow, but strong and bulky, with an emphasis on HP and special attack, and some special defense as well. If this Pokemon was real, you bet it would be good on a Trick Room team. I love all of these Pokemon, but I have to say the Cluckaboo line, I really like how they look. I really love how they look. I mean, yeah, I designed them a little goofy, which is like, oh, I did it again. Amber created more goofy Pokemon, but like, I will change that, okay? I'm realizing that Pokedexes are more complex and they have lots of designs, so I'll be working on that. But I just really like how these 3 turned out. But which one's your favorite? Let me know, of course, in the comment section down below. Next up will be Gen 3 and 4, and who knows, maybe even 5. Don't worry though, I won't take another 6 months. I've gotten faster at designing Pokemon, so it should be good. And yeah, with that, see ya. Bye!